Good morning. Welcome to One Baha'i, that regular show where I just sit back and share a few thoughts about the Baha'i faith. It's nothing official, it's just me, one individual, one Baha'i. So this morning I was thinking of sharing some thoughts on a prayer, but as I was meditating on it, another thought came to mind that I thought I would share today. I think I'll do the prayer tomorrow. I was talking with my neighbor a couple days ago, really wonderful lady, and I made an offhand comment that she just reacted to. We were talking about Christianity and her family, and she was talking about some of the fanatical elements that she was seeing. And I asked her, I said, what is the central point of Jesus' teachings, of Christianity? If you could sum it up in one word, what would it be? And she thought about it, and she said, love? I said, exactly. Everything in Jesus' teachings, everything that he taught, is about love. And then I added, if there is something in his teachings that leads us to something other than love, we can be sure that we have misunderstood it. Well, I didn't think much of that. I just thought it was a fairly obvious thing. But her reaction showed me that it was a totally new concept for her. It blew her mind. And then I remembered one of the things that I loved when I first started my blog all those years ago was that people were writing in questions that I had forgotten that I had when I was a seeker. And it occurred to me, seeing her reaction, that this was a concept that I now take for granted. It doesn't even occur to me to question it. But that really this is a new idea for many Christians. Now, the same thing is true in any religion. You can find that central point. In the Baha'i faith, it would be unity. I think it was Shoghi Effendi who said that unity is the pivot around which all the teachings of Baha'u'llah revolve. Well, the same could be said with Christianity and love. So, if we find something in the writings, in the Baha'i writings, that leads us to something other than unity, well, we can be certain that we have misunderstood it. The question, though, is how does this apply in our daily life? What does this have to do with us? And as I was talking with my friend, Stacy, I'll give her a name. As I was talking with Stacy about this, one of the things that occurred to me was today we see religious groups that are really quite fanatical. And we can be certain that as with any group, you have the core that are the diehards. You have those that they believe it, but they couldn't really explain why. And then you have the ones on the fringes who play along, but they question it. And then you have the people who aren't even part of the group. But in terms of the people who are in those outer edges, it occurs to me that when I'm with a large group of people, let's say a group of Christians, and I make a statement like this: all the teachings of Jesus revolve around love. And if there is something within the teachings that leads us to something other than love, we can be certain we have misunderstood it. I can imagine the group of diehards going, no, you're wrong, absolutely, fanaticism. We see it all the time. I can imagine the people here in the second group thinking about it. But most importantly, I imagine the people in that last group, that third group, turning away from this fanatical blindness. Quite often when I share statements like that on the internet, I'm not trying to reach the people here. I'm trying to demonstrate something for the people here. And then I think about the Babis, those early Baha'i and Babi believers who saw the beauty and the love and the peace at the core of Islam, who recognized that Muhammad was teaching a way of life that is beautiful, and they were seeing the madness around them. And then they saw those Babis, those early believers who understood the core of the Bab's teachings, of Baha'u'llah's teachings, and they demonstrated it, and they reached those people. The ones here were still fanatical, but they reached a large majority of people here. It's interesting to me when I think of this as social circles. You only have a small group in the middle. But if you draw it out as 3 concentric circles, and then you take a crayon and try to color them in, you will notice that there's very little space in the middle. There's not a lot there. That second circle takes a lot more time to color. But that outer circle will take up almost your entire crayon. This is how I see people. The majority, the vast majority of humanity is out here. They are easily moved by a sensible, logical, rational, beautiful argument. The ones here aren't. So I'm very grateful to my neighbor for reminding me of just what it is that moved me when I was out here, all those years ago. It's funny because the more that I dive into the Baha'i writings, the more I forget where I came from. I forget those questions that I had. I take so many of these beautiful teachings for granted that it doesn't even occur to me that it's a question for someone else anymore. But when I share something that I take for granted like that, every now and then I am reminded of the importance of that question to others. So I just wanted to share that today. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about a prayer. I figure if I say it today, it's kind of forcing me to do it, right? So anyways, thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll talk tomorrow.